talk about the craziness that is Loki Day. I'm not going to wear these the whole time because they hurt my head, but I thought I'd put them on for the intro because it's fun. I'm so excited to be here, and I have some very special guests. First up, we have... Let's see, Dave. Oh, look, I got you both here. Look at that. I can't figure this out. I'm trying to figure out these controls. Well, I've got everybody here, but so Dave is here, who has not been here in a little bit because
no, it's been a while
and all that fun stuff. So I planned this one around his schedule. I said, "What time are you awake?" I don't know
this one.
So listen, because Loki, we got to talk about Loki. It's exciting, but Dave. Before we do, why don't you let everyone know where to find you and the stuff you do?
Yes, you can find me at Dave Lee Down Under, as it says somewhere down there. YouTube, podcast, all that stuff. What do I do? Movie stuff. Movie stuff. A big focus on animation and big blockbuster movies and all that kind of stuff. Just head on over and check it out. Check it out. Dave Lee Down Under. There you go.
Yeah, and he's got great stuff.
I'm terrible with the introductions.
No, listen, he's got some great stuff. And you've got that Space Jam thing coming up, right?
Yeah.
Lots of Space Jam today. So stay tuned for all that fun. And Andrea, why don't you let everyone know where to find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at _A Towers. I am also on Instagram at _Andrea Towers. And I write around the internet, currently writing at Entertainment Weekly and Nerdist, but I've basically written for a bunch of entertainment outlets about Marvel stuff, TV, movies. I am your kind of jack of all trades freelancer, especially when it comes to Marvel stuff. So I'm happy to be here.
And you've written for MamasGeeky.com too.
Yeah, I have written for MamasGeeky. I wrote my Black Widow review for MamasGeeky.
Yes.
Because Tess is awesome.
Listen, and it's like the best. Listen, it's such a good review. I was like, it made me cry. I'm like, why is your review making me cry? It's so good.
My feelings, Tessa.
I know. Listen, that's how we connected over Black Widow.
I know, it's
Hawkeye, like Marvel stuff. So all thanks to, I think it was probably Twitter we started chatting.
Yeah, I think it was we started talking on Twitter and you posted some articles and you'd written and you sent me like a Hawkeye and Black Widow article.
Yes,
and I was like, oh my God, this is my new best friend.
I know.
That's like my litmus test. I'm like, if someone actually likes Black Widow and Hawkeye enough to like appreciate them, like that person needs to be in my life.
It's true. Listen, Dave, do you appreciate Hawkeye?
Yeah, I've grown to appreciate him.
That counts.
Yeah. I'll allow it. As long as you don't want him to die. Apparently a lot of people want him. Listen, apparently I found out during the Black Widow stream, a lot of people want him to die in Hawkeye.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, sadly
that's
an unfortunate side of being way too invested in fandom. Like on the fandom side, when you're not a professional, you can sense that you can come out of that end credit scene knowing that everyone who hates the character is going to be so excited to want to see him die. And it's very sad for people like me.
I was like, I don't want him to die. I couldn't believe that was like a thing when I saw that last week. I was very upset. But real quick, look, James said you did well on your introduction there, Dave.
Thank you, James. I forgot to say I'm on Twitter. When I heard Andrea say, I'm on Twitter.
That's my only platform. You guys have YouTube, so.
That's
too much.
True.
It's too much rattling around in there. But yeah, Twitter, I'm on as well. You can check me out there.
Let's say hi to everybody else. So listen, I think I have a review up of Space Jam 2. I'm sure Dave had one up. He got to put his up a week before I did.
Yeah.
So go check that out. I see Andrew's here. Timothy's here. I'm just picking random ones, whatever you said. Of course, Winter Night is here. Hello. Bugs Bunny. We're talking about Bugs Bunny. Listen, Bugs Bunny's awesome. But we are here to talk about Loki. Because let me tell you, this season finale, my brain, I've watched it 3 times. I can't believe this is where we're going with this. But Dave, why don't you talk about the first time you watched it? Like, what was your initial reaction?
It's a lot to take in, wasn't it? It's like the weird.
Oh, you went to mute for some reason.
How many times have we heard them say, "Oh, we're going to the multiverse. This movie's going to open the multiverse. We're finally going to the multiverse. We're going to open wide up," and it just never happens. You get to the point where you're like, "Oh, it's finally going to happen." It doesn't happen. and then now it's almost unbelievable to watch it, and they're like, we're actually here now. You know, it was overwhelming, very overwhelming episode, but yeah, so good, good.
You're right. It's crazy. I was for sure, I'm not getting my hopes up on Kang. There's no way, because I felt like Mephisto again, all over again, right? Like with WandaVision, I was like, I'm not making theories. I'm not trying to do all this. And then, you know, we got what we thought we were going to get, right? What the speculation was. So Andrea, how did you feel when you got to that moment in Loki?
I mean, I feel like everyone else, I feel like my brain was kind of blown. I mean, if you had told me like a few years ago that we would be going into the multiverse, I would be like, okay, this is like a little too much. If you had told me we'd be doing that from a Disney Plus show with the character that died like 3 years ago, I would have been like, okay. I don't think that's going to happen. But no, it was, I mean, I didn't expect it to have that much exposition. And so once I started watching and realized that was like kind of the long haul, it's like, oh boy, I'm going to have to pay attention. Not that I zone out during them, but there's like a definite change between like, I can like watch the show and enjoy it and look for like the hidden theories. And, I have to like actually pay attention to every single thing that's happening in this 46 minutes because my brain is going to explode. But I mean, I loved it. And like you, I mean, people were talking about Kang all season. Right. And like you, I was like, no, like they're not going to introduce him here. They're not
in a show,
Mephisto thing. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it would happen either. And then when he showed up, I'm like,
oh, Dave went away. He'll be back. But yeah, no, I know. I was like, it was crazy because I didn't expect it from a TV show at all.
No,
I was like, there's no way they're doing it. I thought if anything we'd get, like Thanos' final do it myself. Like maybe a little something. Oh, there's Kang. Okay. And real quick, I want to say thank you to Jay Meister here. Yay, thank you. And he says, silly Kang was meant to have the audience drop our guard. But as the episode went on, the concept of Kang became more and more terrifying. Yeah, because they're going to get worse versions of Majors. Yeah. That's exactly it, right? The way they gave it to us.
Yeah.
They gave us Kang, but like, he's not Kang. Like, they gave us, he's like the lesser, he's like a variant, he's not.
Just like a soft intro to like, this is who we should expect, but like, he's going to get so much more. But like Kang was claiming that he who remains was actually kind of pleasant. Like,
I know.
Hilarious, but pleasant.
Right.
Especially like, here's Dave back. Hey.
I knocked my microphone and then like my audio went out. I'm back though. All back.
We were just saying how it was like a brilliant way to bring him in as like a variant.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So, you're muted. Are you supposed to be muted? Are you doing that on purpose?
I upped it. I'm back.
Oh. I don't know, Dave.
Technical dramas. We're back. Yeah. No, I thought it was just a really brilliant way to bring him in because it's not quite the character yet, and you get like that soft. Because I was thinking, like, particularly after the whole Mephisto thing, I was thinking there's no way they're going to bring in like the next big bad in one of these series because they just can't. They can't do that. Because general audience, you can't expect everyone to be watching the TV and the movies. I'm thinking there's no way they'll bring the big bad in, but the way they've done it is they have introduced him, but sort of not at the same time. So I would imagine we'll get like the big Kang the Conqueror reveal in one of the films.
Yeah.
Like kind of softer introduction in the series. It's just a genius way to do it. I keep saying it. It's genius.
Genius.
I just think it's also so funny because literally all of us are sitting here being like, when's the Spider-Man trailer going to drop? When's Spider-Man?
I know.
When I saw that, it's like, oh, that's why the Spider-Man trailer hasn't dropped.
Exactly right.
Right. Immediately it was like, oh, this is what they're going to do. This is why.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
I think I said that ages ago. I was like, there's a lot of stuff they're going to have to hold off because of where the thing's going. And there's a lot of stuff that we're not, especially because everything comes out in such rapid succession too. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that you need to see before you see, even if it's like a trailer. Right. So obviously, Spider-Man's going to go into the multiverse and all that stuff. And you can't see that before,
It's crazy. It's crazy is the word. Like, there's so many possibilities here. And then, like, am I the only one in thinking, like, this has to line up exactly with that end credit scene for WandaVision, right? When she hears her kids.
Yeah,
I don't think that wasn't her. That was obviously. Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Now it's crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
It makes me wonder if, I don't know, maybe I'm just still thinking of Black Widow stuff where like everything is so interconnected, but it makes me wonder if like Doctor Strange is going to either pick up there or like that's going to be like that moment when, because if those two interconnected things are happening, like maybe that's like a cold open or something. I don't know. I'm just literally spitballing, but that would be that.
Listen, I want him to pull the two of them in a room and be like, listen, you two, like, what are you two doing?
I think my favorite thing was there were so many memes like that came out, or like like fan drawings of like after like Doctor Strange is so upset right now.
It's like, Loki, what are you doing? At least to Sylvie, I guess, technically, right? But then, like, Wanda's doing this thing. I mean, she literally got warned, like, you don't want to do this. You don't know what you're going to do when you go down this road. And she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to be the Scarlet Witch. Okay. Like, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Look, yay. Real quick, I just want to say, yes, we're very excited for Hawkeye. We're very, very excited. And thank you for your super sticker, Rolando. But yeah, right. Okay, exactly. So this part was crazy, right? When Loki's the more I think about it, and I had this discussion with some people yesterday, and I want to know your opinions, and we can start with you, Dave. But do you think this is a different TVA, or do you think already the repercussions happened and like this other Kang the Conqueror took over the TVA?
That was my takeaway from it. They've, by instantly changing everything, they have changed the entire course of, their existence. I mean, and if Loki can travel back and be the Loki from 2012 and, all this stuff, I think he's going back to the same place, but it's just changed the entire fabric of time. And that whole reveal, it reminded me so much of Planet of the Apes at the very end, where it turns out the twist is, it's planet Earth. They come across the Statue of Liberty in the sand. Very similar kind of thing where you kind of like, well, it's all, the way you perceived it has been, I don't know, changed. But that's a takeaway I had anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me too. And at first I thought, wait, did she send him to a different timeline? And then I'm thinking, wait, the TVA is supposedly outside of time, right? Yeah. So I don't know, Andrea, what do you think?
I was of the same mind, and I didn't expect that either. That was one of the things, and maybe I should have. Like when he back, like I totally didn't see it coming until until Mobius was like, "Who are you?" And it's like, oh crap, they really like. Because then he saw the statue and all that, but that was like a mind meld for me.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane that they just did it. Like they're just full on shit's changed now. Sorry guys.
Yeah. Like I mean that was like from pretty much like the moment, like as soon as she stabbed him, like that changed timelines, right? I mean they were outside time, so like it didn't, but it happened immediately there, but like we wouldn't have seen it, I guess, in that moment.
It's crazy. I can't freaking wait.
it's so simple too. Like you said, Andrea, like we should have expected it, but you don't. We have so many just wild speculations.
I was thinking of so many other things that like I was trying to wrap my head around everything else, and then like I had to deal with that, and
but it's crazy how they can just catch us off guard with the most simple thing, and you're like, oh, obvious. Like it's obvious, but I didn't think about it. And it's just always it's the right thing to do every time. Most times, but
most times, yeah. It's crazy. Like I feel so bad for Loki because he's lost. Now he lost Mobius too. Like he's literally lost everything. But what did you guys think about that kiss? I was happy they finally kissed. I was so happy to see Loki and Sylvie kiss. So happy. But I was also like, she's did it just to manipulate him and to throw him through. And it made me really mad. But Andrea, were you happy that they kissed?
I mean, I love that. This whole show has been a very weird journey for me because I was never someone. So like, admittedly, I was never someone who cared that much about the character when he was in like Avengers mode. And that I think part of that also goes back to like being on the fandom side. People got very, very annoying with Loki after Avengers, and I just kind of noped out of like, oh god, all these like annoying fans, like, and so like from that I was just like, he's a character. I'm not like I love Tom Hiddleston. I loved him like in the Thor movies. I thought like I appreciated him, but I was like, yeah, whatever. And this, from the moment I saw the trailers for this, I was like, oh my god, I love this character. Like I have an entirely new appreciation for this character. And so over like all 6 episodes, I have come to like love this character in a way I never realized I would. And so by the time we got to the kiss, I was just like I very much enjoyed it. And I was so, and I mean, I know like you were right. He, you know, you could see Sylvie being like, I'm going to do this, but also, you know, there's probably intentions behind it. But the other part of me was like, I'm just happy that you found some like, you know, solace, and you had like kind of a slightly good relationship. I liked it. I'm also not like super shipper-y with him. Like I know there's a lot of people who are like, they're kissing themselves, and I'm like,
I know. It is a little weird.
Hard. There are things I think about hard in the show. That is not one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Dave, did you think it was good for Loki and Sylvie to share that kiss? Were you happy about it? Or?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm the same. I've never cared about Loki. He's a character that he's just a character. He's just there. And this was, I said many times earlier that this is the show that I was just least interested in. And I think I think it's probably my favorite of the 3 shows so far. And particularly with the character growth they've given to Loki, and it really shows how important, or how, I guess, how they're using these Disney Plus shows is to give these characters that character depth, that background that we never had. And I found myself just so invested in not only Loki, but Sylvie's journey as well, and kind of the two kind of polar opposite sides of this one character's weird kind of existence. I liked it. I liked that. I didn't think they'd do it, and I think it took me off guard at first. I was like, hang on, we're doing this. But it's like, no, I like it. I think it's not so much, I don't look at it so much as him like falling in love with himself, as almost like he's kind of just a weird roundabout way of them establishing him going to appreciate himself, or, you know, it's that character growth that's kind of shown in a different way, the way that he's found the way to embrace kind of a different kind of side of himself, and it just culminates in this really weird and kind of wonderful moment. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, because see, I think what I really liked about it, like you said, the character development of him this season and what we've gotten, but it's also hard because you have to think back and realize like, oh, he's 2012 Loki. Like he's not even already redeemed, already like, you know, gonna sacrifice himself, gonna try to kill Thanos Loki. Like he's 2012 Loki. So he had to go on that whole part of that journey again. Yeah. So I really loved that. And Andrea, you think, I mean, obviously, as you were saying, how much you came to love him or appreciate him this season, but you think they did a good job of making this about Loki this season?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, and I think they had the tricky, I mean, any of these shows are going to be tricky because aside from WandaVision, you only have a certain amount of episodes. So like have to kind of balance kind of bringing narrative to a character that hasn't had a lot of time to grow in the MCU and give them the spotlight, but also, you know, kind of tell a story that not only is like a good story that feels fulfilling, but is also works with the confined to the MCU, because I'm sure Kevin Feige sits everyone down and says like, you have to include these things like in your show somehow, and you know they have to make it work. But I mean, I thought it did a great job of like focusing, and some of the stuff wasn't even like I don't know. I guess like for me, I didn't need 6 episodes of like watching Loki work through therapy. I just over like the course of the episodes, like his relationship with Sylvie, his relationship with Mobius, you know, his choices, him meeting Kid Loki, and like all of that. That was like more of the journey for me. Like, you know, even if it wasn't very specific moments that we saw for Loki, like, you know, kind of going on this character evolution. I saw it in a lot of his relationships, and then in the way they kind of chose to portray his character.
Yeah. Now, Dave, I know you and I talked a lot about episode 3 when it first came out because it was one of my favorites because I love the character development of it. And I think, honestly, if we didn't have episode 3, the kiss and all the stuff that happened in this last episode, it wouldn't have felt as good, you know? So what do you want to say about just the character development of Loki through the whole season, but particularly in episode 3?
Well, that was my first thought. As soon as that kind of kiss happened, and that last episode is that as I said, that culmination of everything he's been through. The first thing I thought is like, the first thing that came to my head was that is why we needed that 3rd episode. Without that third episode, you don't have that emotional payoff. And this is why I was saying the whole time, everyone who had complaints about that show was like, I was saying the whole time, just let the series play out. I mean, we're so used to these as being a movie and watching it as a movie. You have to just chill out or binge watching a show. Just chill out and just take it bit by bit because we don't know where we're going to go at the end. And I have so much faith in Marvel now. After 12 years, 13 years and 24 movies and 3 series, that they know how to make these right decisions. And as I said, these series are all about character development and giving these characters that haven't had that development, the development that they've really needed, and push them into this new era of the franchise in a more important, more fleshed out way. And that 3rd episode, I just loved it because I'm a huge sucker for great character work and just dialogue, and just I love like a slow burn drama where you slow down and you dive into these characters over like a slow amount of time. I just love character work. And that's what I saw in that 3rd episode was like and I think it's the first time we've really seen it in anything to do with Marvel before. And I think that's what may have thrown a lot of people off. And that's because we finally slowed down. It's not all these big explosions, fast-paced action, and all like jumping from. You've got a 2-hour movie where you're jumping like so quick. Slow down and just enjoy the characters for a little bit. But that episode was so important too. Not only how we got to the end, but developing the character, developing the world, developing the story, and that cliffhanger at the end was incredible. Was amazing. It was like, how are they going to go to this planet now?
I didn't know.
What are they going to do?
I think, I was going to say it was kind of like what people were doing with WandaVision. Like immediately, like from the moment WandaVision started, everyone was theorizing, what's the red helicopter? Or what was that? Who's the beekeeper? Like it turned out to be nothing, but we were also tuned into like, it's Marvel. Like there has to be some big, huge theory here, which is why the whole Mephisto thing started, I think, but it's true. We're all like, what is this? And I'm like, we couldn't just enjoy like seeing it play out and maybe having a little more like time or theories. But I just remember everyone being immediately like, the beekeeper is definitely someone. Like it was like immediate with like the way people kind of go for theories with these shows. I think just because of how Marvel is, and they're like so used to looking for all those Easter eggs or like connective tissue.
Yeah.
The beekeeper, that cracks me up still because it was just like nothing.
I know, that's like what I remember like so clearly. Everyone just like fixating on like it has to be something.
I know. Who's the beekeeper?
He was on the poster. Everyone's like, there he is. Where is he gonna be? Zoom in. Oh, can you see a face there? Who is it? No, it was nothing.
Nobody. It was like it was just, but also I don't know. I don't know why they had him crawling out of a sewer. I feel like they did that on purpose to us to make us.
Oh, absolutely.
Just definitely. I've seen a lot of people like, well, what was it? It was like before the finale, everyone was like, well, it has to be King Loki because King Loki's in the trailer. And I'm like, do you not remember when Hulk was in the Infinity War trailer? Yeah. And he was not in the movie. Like, don't trust Marvel. Like, that's what they do that on purpose.
Yeah.
They push you one way so that you can be complete. But look at it. Yep. I was genuinely shocked when we got not Kang, but Kang, right? So early on.
Yep.
And it's funny because I watched it a second time with my husband, and he stays away from like casting like he doesn't want to know anything. He doesn't even really watch trailers. So he didn't know Jonathan Majors was cast as Kang already. So for him, it took him a little bit to like, because he doesn't so much act like Kang from the comics either. He's a little quirky, he's off the wall. So it was like to watch him put it all together, like, that's Kang or Kang variant, like that's immortal. Okay, all right, that's what they're doing. Was so interesting Whereas for me, and I think probably both of you as well, as soon as I saw him, you were like, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
shit.
Yeah. And so
my husband was the same, except like he hasn't fellow casting or anything. He also, like, I know like your husband has a lot of like comic book knowledge and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't have like that innate comic book knowledge, but I mean he like loves all the stuff. But like, so for him, so I'm watching this whole thing with him and I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to explain this to you. And he was so I'm like watching him try to figure it out because at the end I was like, do you know who that was? And he's like, no. And then I'm trying to explain to him everything. But I was watching him trying to figure out, like, he kept pausing and being like, so this person with the variant and that, like, and he was trying to explain it. And it was like, I don't know. It was interesting though, because it's always interesting to see, like, especially with these types of shows, or like just Marvel movies in general, people who are not like as up on it as you are to like try to see their reactions or like how they understand things.
It's crazy. So Dave, I'm sure you knew he was already cast as Kang, right?
Yeah.
So I knew. When you saw him,
I was like, I didn't expect it. Like I said, I have been going, there's no way they're going to introduce one of these big, bad, overarching villains in a series. It was just like, I was like, we're not going to see Kang. I thought it was like going to be another Loki or whatever. And when it opened up and he's sitting there, I was like, oh my God, they've actually done it. And there was just this like, in shock, just like they're actually doing this because they said from the beginning like how important these TV shows are going to be and all this stuff. And WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like they set things up. I mean, Sam Wilson's now Captain America. WandaVision, set up the Scarlet Witch. But other than that, there's not huge ramifications on the universe. So I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to go there, and then we went there. So it's just, I think it's just a shock. I think it shocked most people just how important the series have ended up being, particularly after this last episode.
Yeah, I mean, I know people say, you don't have to watch the shows, but there is literally no way. I can't imagine not watching Loki and figuring this out.
Yeah.
Like, how would you explain that to someone? Well, the multiverse opened up.
They're gonna have to do something in one of the films. I mean, to understand Loki, like they gave us like that little clip show of all the movies beforehand where, here's the life that you would have led if you had gone into and played all the clips from the movies. I feel like we're going to have something like that on the next film that deals with this. And whether that's maybe just someone explaining to Doctor Strange, this is what's happened, or Doctor Strange looks into some, I don't know, crystal ball, whatever sort of thing, and sees, oh shit, look what's happened, and see that might play a clip from Loki or something. I don't know, but I think it's going to be, I trust them to have figured it out, but I think it's going to be, it seems like a headache.
Yeah, and they have to do it in a way that, like, they're going to have to make it kind of, because it's the movie, like, they're going to have to get people to understand it, so they're going to have to explain it in a way that, like, normal people understand. Exactly. And then they're also going to have to like fold. I don't know. I think it is going to be interesting to see how they kind of approach it all because how do you even start to tie all that up? I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but
unless it's like a Doctor Strange, like feels something and then like sees a vision or something, they could kind of do it that way.
That's like an easy way out, but I feel like that's probably what would happen. Like the Infinity Stones, like here's like
that's the easiest way to do it. Just like it's like, we had Miss Minutes in the first episode in the animation kind of explaining to us the concepts of time. It's like, that's easy to understand. And then Kang comes out and he shows us like little models of himself. And I'm a huge like fan of like natural history shows and stuff. And one of the guys I really love is Brian Cox, who's a physicist, and he talks all about the planets and stuff. One of the series I watched recently, it was all about the solar system and stuff. And occasionally you get like this, most of it's all CGI and stuff, you see the planets, but then it comes back to him and he explains it to you like you're a child. He's like sitting on a beach or sitting on like this rocky plain. He pulls out all these little pebbles. He's like, imagine these are the planets. And imagine these rocks over here is an asteroid belt. I'm like, I understand it. He's talking to me like I don't understand all this mumbo jumbo, this scientific stuff. Just pull out a bunch of rocks. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So take that same sort of idea And I feel like that's kind of what they've kind of been doing now. Miss Minutes in the animation, all this kind of stuff. They're going to have to do something like that in the movies. They can't expect everyone to be watching everything because it's a lot of content. It's a lot of stuff. But then at that, they also have to be careful for the people who have been watching everything that they're not retreading everything over and over again.
Right.
Because you just know everyone's going to be like, oh, we've seen this. Why are you doing it again? That's why I think it's such a headache. I do not envy Kevin Feige right now because he's and his team.
I feel like they've got it though. Like I was saying before we came live, like a tweet talking about how Kevin was like, he had to like sit down his team and be like, this is how the multiverse works.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. Because like, it's crazy. Because like basically just everything we know just can be completely different.
Yeah.
That's nuts. All these movies.
It's what the franchise needs though, particularly coming out of Endgame. Like I'm sure everyone was like, how can they top this? Like how can I get excited for something else? How can they everything else after this is just going to be so, benign. They have had to go, how the hell do we mix this up?
Right.
We've essentially gone into a brand new franchise.
It's crazy. Black Widow could be back, Andrea.
I know.
She could be back.
It could be a variant.
That's the madness, man.
That is the crazy thing. You don't know who could be alive, who could be dead. Like,
well, they really made some. I mean, I think this was very creative what they did because I think in a lot of ways the doors closed on the Infinity Saga, and I'm sure people, I'm sure Chris Evans is like, last thing I want to do for a while is be Captain America. But they did do it in a way that, I mean, the way they're structuring Phase 4 really leaves the door open to even if you died, you could potentially still come back.
Yeah.
And I think that's really clever because it means that like no one's ever really gone from the MCU.
No,
I know,
exactly.
that's true. And Andrew says, how about hearing the MCU quotes in the intro? That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's when I knew this was going to be.
Yeah. That caught me so off guard. It was so cool though. It was like, wait a second, what? Like I didn't expect that at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is this shit? Like, what's happening? What's going on? Like, we don't normally hear people talking, do we? Like, I had to second guess myself. Like, is this normal?
It also
it's not.
weirdly made me emotional. Like, I have been like super emotional for the past like month just because like of all the Black Widow stuff. It's been like very overwhelming for me, on like a personal level. But so like anytime the Marvel intro like starts like that, I feel like I always get emotional just because I'm like, I love it. Like I love this so much. But then the voices started. I'm like, I always feel this. Oh my god! Like it's been like 10 years of this. This is such like look at what we have, and just like, damn, this is.
But then you're like, now is that all? Is this like this is the path but they're all different now. Forget about them. You're like, oh yeah. Andrew says a Chadwick quote. Like, real quick to sideline a little bit when we got that What If trailer, and I heard him talk. Was like, that
was his last thing, right? The last thing he did.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Crazy.
And then it's really sad because, like, what are they going to do with Black Panther 2? Like, how are they even going to have him? Like, but I guess it could be a new timeline. I mean, it's
true.
I read a few interviews. I can't remember who it was. It was a couple of people in Black Panther, and they're like, the script's really strange. Like the way they've moved with it in this new direction is interesting. So it's going to be really, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah, because they said they're not bringing him back, and they're not using old footage. Like they're not. So like there is no T'Challa, I guess.
Yeah. Don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know. They have a way around it now. It's the multiverse.
The multiverse. There you go. It's changed everything. New timeline.
That's
easy out.
Easy. That's probably why those people were confused. They're like, I don't get
what's
it.
going on? What the hell? Yeah.
Why are you acting like he never existed? And sure, he was always Black Panther. What's happening? Movie fan says too. Apparently, the script for it is weird. Well, maybe it's ties in all this. I guess. It's crazy. But so speaking of like stuff in the future, Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to be horror. Like Elizabeth Olsen just said, it's like supposed to be super scary. Well, Miss Minutes was like a little terrifying in this episode. That like jump scare, did that scare either of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
love that Miss Minutes is the ultimate, like I kept joking. I'm like, Miss Minutes is the MVP of this whole show. And I was saying that from the beginning. I'm like, you got to watch Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes is like going to turn out to be some secret. I was like, don't sleep on Miss Minutes is like literally what I was telling like my husband and everyone. And then like when she came at the end being this like little sassy, like villain type thing, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That's why I got her tattooed on me.
I know.
I knew. I was like,
you knew.
I tell you, people, there was someone on Twitter, and I don't know who this is, and I hope if you're not watching, like, if you are watching, like, sorry. But someone had tweeted and was like, you know, you got a villain tattooed on you or whatever. And I'm like, do you not know me? Like, I feel like I don't have a problem with having a villain on me. I was banking on her being something, you know. But I loved Miss Minutes in this. Dave, how did you feel about her overall, but even popping up, scaring the bejesus out of everybody?
I thought it was fun. It's just something just weird, just different that we haven't seen before. And it seems like it shouldn't work, but works. And I love that reveal at the end that she's just pulling the strings sort of almost in the background. It's like, it just shouldn't work, but it works. And again, character work. That's what it's all down to. I think it's so much fun. So much fun. You're
right. I think a lot, that's like you said before, these shows are all about the characters, right? And it's the same thing like with WandaVision and with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's all about giving these characters their time and getting to know them, and then getting to know other versions of them. Like, do you guys think we'll get to see like Kid Loki? I'm hoping for more Kid Loki, because if we get Young Avengers, I'd love to see
everything, I will shout to the rooftops about how everything is building towards Young Avengers, and even like my husband. So I've been explaining like in Young Avengers to my husband, because like I said, he doesn't like follow, the comic. He doesn't really like read comics or anything. So everything he knows is just me being like, oh, like the kids from WandaVision, like that set the whole thing up, and then Hawkeye, and then like Kid Loki. So at the end, he's like, well, Kid Loki like has to come back, right? How is he gonna come back? And I'm like, I don't know. They're going to bring him back. He'll be back to Young Avengers somehow. I don't know. Maybe he's stuck in the multiverse.
Who knows? I don't know. Dave, do you want to see any of the other Lokis come back besides Sylvie, of course?
Oh yeah, I love Sylvie. She's great. But I loved, was he called Old Loki, the one that Richard E. Grant played?
He was like classic Loki, right?
Classic Loki. Oh man, I loved it. I'm such a sucker for just like those classic 60s costumes. I think they're so fun. I just think they're so fun. And I love that they brought it in somehow. But Richard E. Grant just looks like he's having fun in everything that he does. He's at this point in his career now where he's like, give me Star Wars, give me Marvel. I'm just going to go and have fun. And you see him on Twitter and he does these little videos and he's like, oh my God, I'm in this movie. How good is he's just having fun.
Like he's living his best life.
Exactly right. He's like, I've done all these prestige movies. I don't care now. Just let me have fun. I would love to see that. Anyone who's just there for a good time, because that radiates on the screen and you just have fun with it. I want that. Give me more. Give me more Richard E. Grant. Classic Loki.
Was great. Yeah. He was so good. He was so good. And then I mean, we've got Mobius now. Owen Wilson, he seemed like he was having a really good time too.
Yeah. I saw this guy, I can't remember it must have been Jimmy Kimmel or something he did an interview with, and he was like, oh I got, because he said he's never watched any of the Marvel films, he's not into that kind of thing. He got the call from he said he got the call from Kevin Feige, was like, oh hey, would you like to be in a Marvel movie? And he's like, oh yeah, great, I'd love to be in it. He goes, what's my superpower? And Kevin Feige was like, oh well, you're really good with like timekeeping and like taking notes and stuff. It's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought he was great. He was fantastic in it. He's always great.
He was so good. I wanted to hear him say wow, and I wanted to see him on a jet ski. But I guess, Andrew says get him a jet ski. I know. I was like feeling bad for him at the end. I was like, wait, he didn't get a jet ski. Like, that's kind of what I wanted at the end. And I just thought he was great. That's
Got
true.
another
There's
season.
another season.
Wow, guys, I got my jet ski. Wow, this is great. Oh, please make it happen, please.
Yeah, or he needs to do like Owen Wilson needs to do a commercial for a jet ski, like as Mobius. Like, listen, there's jet ski company, hire him right now. That's what you need to do.
I just need like one of those. You know how like there's those little like silly post scenes, like you know, talking to people or whatever, like. You need like one silly end credit scene at some movie, maybe like the end of Doctor Strange. That's just Mobius. Like that's just the end credit scene, just him riding on his little jet ski. That would like make so many people so happy.
Oh, I know. I think we all want it for him. We do. But I loved him with like his chemistry with Tom Hiddleston from the beginning. I was like, man, I just love these two, the way they're talking and just so much of it. And it's got something to do with the writing too, of course. Although I will say, watching it, I'm like, I feel like at least half of this is improvised. It's probably just a testament to them, how good they are at acting. But I mean, what did you think about the two of them together, Andrea?
I love them. I mean, from that salad scene, so like when he's like trying to talk to him, and he's like, and then Owen Wilson is just like, "Why? That's my salad." Like, it's just like it was so perfect, like that. I mean, I was sold from the first. That was like the second episode, right? That was because I was sold from like the. Wasn't it? I think it was the second episode.
I think it was the second one. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to say I was sold from like the first episode from their like little banter, and then from the second episode I was like, this sold me. And then like they do the whole, they go to Pompeii and Owen Wilson. Like,
I
hate you right now. Like it was just so perfect. Like because I know we were talking recently on the Black Widow thing about how like Natasha and Yelena and like Florence and Scarlett just captured that like really perfect like little sister, big sister energy, and like that was just instant, and like you know you felt that relationship was just perfect, and that's exactly how I felt with Loki and Mobius. Like that was just a perfect relationship. They work so well together.
It was so great. Like when he's like, "What happened to like you don't like to talk?" Like you know, it's like
he's like, crap.
So many of those lines I feel like had to have been improvised, but I don't know. What do you think, Dave? Like. Just that they're both really good, or a combination?
I think it has to be a bit of both. I mean, Owen Wilson's obviously from a comedic background. He knows how to ad-lib. He knows how to be funny. And Tom Hiddleston as well. I mean, he's been so classically trained. He would have been trained in comedic performance as well, even if it's something like Shakespeare, which has so much comedy in it. And I think these two are just two people who know how to make comedy work and know how to work off each other really well. And whether that is improvised or whether it's the script work and just the way they've made it work. And I've always known how talented Tom Hiddleston is, but you don't see it until this show. Yeah. And you see these little glimpses every now and then, whether it's like the flick of the hair or just like a little smile or a little pose or something. You just get like this little glimpse of his personality in there. And the way he just builds it all into his performance is incredible. And Owen Wilson, very much the same as well. I think they worked off each other so well. I think it is a testament to two people who know how to make the material work and just know their craft.
Yeah,
like you can't.
They're so good. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like in episode 3, like when Tom Hiddleston, when like Loki's drunk and stuff, like little stuff like that. He's like singing and he's like doing stuff. And he's like, she's like, "Are you drunk?" He's like, "I'm just very full," or whatever. Like, but he's got stuff like that, and then stuff like in episode 6, where after Sylvie shoves him through the thing, and he's just devastated, and you can see it in his face. Then it's like something snaps in him, and he like looks up, and he's like, "All right," like, and he gets up, and he knows like he's got to go find Mobius. Like, I was sad for a minute.
Like, I feel like, you know, you were talking about, like, did we see his whole journey? I feel like that was, like, the crystallization of his journey. Like, he went through all this, or, like, he comes back where he started, and now he has he's gone through the emotional journey of kind of, like, reforming himself and realizing all these things about himself. So now he's ready to be, like, Mobius, like, we have to save this. And so I think it's going to be really interesting where they take it in season 2, because now he's gone through that whole evolution.
I know. I know. Well, we're going to have to, something with Sylvie. She's in trouble. I see her being compared to Star-Lord a lot. And I don't know. I almost feel like what she did was a little worse than Star-Lord. Also, I was never mad at Star-Lord for it, because I get it when you're emotional. I mean, this was what she wanted to do ever since she was a little girl. Like, this was her path. And she was like, she's a Loki, right? She's like, I'm gonna follow through and finish it. Dave, I know you like Sylvie, so why don't you talk a little bit about her in this season and how you felt, and do you forgive her for what she did?
I always look at these things at such a like narrative point of view. I don't know if it's the best way to look at it, but like the whole argument with Star-Lord, everyone's like, how dare he do that? I'm always like, they've written that into the script so you can have another movie, you know, so you can. There's a reason this has happened narratively, and that again, that's my big sticking point with episode 3 of this show is like, just wait it out because they don't do something for no reason. And I just think using Sylvie to just send us into this whole new era is perfect. Like, people can go, oh, can't believe she done that, I hate her, whatever. But if you don't have that, you don't usher into this new kind of era of the franchise. I just think it was perfect the way they did it, particularly with her. And they didn't, I think they were wise not to use Loki to do it as well, because then they, you know, to turn a lot of people off Loki as opposed to another, I don't know, but I love the character. I think she's great. And I think, again, it shows like a different side of that same character. It's all about the character development, where they've used multiple characters to develop the one character. And I think it's just mind-blowing. I love her. I think she's great. I just love the way they've been utilizing the female characters is just so great. I just love it. And every time they introduce someone else, I'm just like, yes, give me more. They're so good. I love it.
Yeah. What did you think about Sylvie in this, Andrea?
I love her. I mean, as you might know, I have an affinity for morally gray characters who fall on the spectrum of like, they're good, but they've done a lot of evil things, but they, at heart, they're good, but where kind of does their allegiance really stand? So those are like my favorite types of characters. And I love, so for that reason, I loved her, but she also, I mean, she became my favorite, from episode 3 on. It was just like all for her. And I love that they created this complex, interesting character that, I mean, and this is cliche, but like they made like a complex woman character, and I think it's great. And we don't have enough of those in the, like, we're starting to get a lot more in the MCU, thankfully. But like the fact that, they could have introduced like another male Loki variant. There's tons of those in the comics. So I was just very happy to see her. I know so many people who fell in love with her and who like just loved the way that her character evolved, and I can't wait to see her. I'm assuming she'll be back in season 2. I mean, we don't know anything, but like you have to come back.
She has to come back. There's no way they don't bring her back.
Yeah,
I adored her. I thought she was a lot of fun, and again, I like seeing her character development. I know it sounds like a broken record here, but like for real, she grew so much, and then. But then to still hang on to that, and I think it was like Kang getting in her head, right? Like, can you really trust him? And she's like, well, I don't know. Can I? Like, kind of made her start to think again. And it's like,
I mean, I think it was interesting that like Sylvie and Loki like had this, they spent so much time like going back and forth with each other, learning about each other, and ultimately it came down to this one thing where Sylvie was willing to do something, and Loki, the person that normally would do this, is the person who was like, I don't know, this is gonna, like, that's what came down to like their differences is this one big decision. And I think I think if I look back on it, like if I kind of reflect on like that moment in the episode, it's really where you can see that Loki's grown, and like that's where you see a lot of his character development. And Sylvie's still kind of like the Loki that was, where she would be like whatever, and he's like trying to, and he's become like Thor. I don't like like that kind of mindset.
It's crazy. You're exactly right. That's a great point, is like she's kind of that, she hasn't gotten to that point yet where Loki has. And so that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it really is. And it came down to, oh man. Then I'm just thinking about when she kills him and he winks at her, but he's like, see you soon. I was like, oh, and he was so good in this. Like, what did you guys think of Jonathan Majors in this? What did you think, Dave?
Oh, incredible. He's so good. I don't think I've ever really seen him in anything. I haven't seen, was that series he did? The
Lovecraft
HBO one? The Lovecraft.
I haven't seen it
I
yet.
haven't watched it yet. I've heard he's terrific in it. I've got it. I got the Blu-ray not long ago, so I'm going to watch that soon. I'm going to fast track it now. But he was he was incredible. He was so good. And again, like you said earlier, that's not the performance you expect from the character. And it's just so, again, just trust Marvel to go do your own thing. Do what you want to do and just make it. And I was watching him the whole time. Even if you've got like Loki and Sylvie in the front of the frame and he's in the background out of focus, that his performance was just still sitting back like this and just, he's just in it the whole time. And he's just terrific. So good. I can't wait to see where he takes it. And I know we're going to see so much more of him. So, so good. So good. It's terrific.
Like the way he's telling all the stories and he's like being like goofy kind of, but then he'd like rein it in and be like, well, wait till you see the other version. You think, and you're just like, oh, I get chills. Like, I can't wait to see the other versions of you. What did you think of his performance, Andrea?
I was the same as you guys. I'm honestly not familiar with his other work. I mean, I remember when he got cast, I remember like recognizing who he was, but he's not someone who I've watched in a bunch of other things, and I still haven't watched Lovecraft Country because
all three of us haven't watched it.
I have a baby, okay.
You are forgiven.
But I knew, I think now we all trust Marvel when it comes to any kind of casting. Like I will trust them blindly, even if I don't know the person, that this person is going to be good. So, so I trusted what they were going to do with the character. But the moment he started talking, it's like just so charismatic and interesting, and he just had that air of mystery, but also like confidence, and he was kind of sly about things. It's great. I mean, I think the more I think about it, it's such a good introduction to the character, because you're right. Yeah. I keep thinking they introduced Kang and like they did, but they didn't. And so I think this is like a really good way for people to understand and like see how the character will kind of play into this. Because I feel like if you just kind of introduced him as like a straight villain, like maybe being playing a little more hardcore, people would be like, well, that's like at least like you kind of get this part of him, and he does such a good job that like I don't know, I just love when he's sitting there and he's like, you can't kill me. Like, I'm so confident about it.
Eating an apple, whatever. And I did love how he refused to call Sylvie Sylvie. Did you notice that? He always called her Loki. Yeah. Which I thought was a good touch.
Yeah. The performance just left his character so ambiguous. Like you're with them the whole time, like, do I trust this guy? He's so, as you say, charismatic, and he's so just like charming, but do I trust this guy? Because there's these little moments where he just kind of snaps. He's like, oh, I've gone by this name and this name, the Conqueror.
I know.
And then this and this and this. And then there's just these little glimpses where you're like, there's something a bit shady about this guy, but I want to go along with him.
I think what's going to be so interesting when we really get the introduction to him, because I'm sure there are people who probably won't like look too closely at Loki, but like he was Thanos was introduced as like, I am I want to rule the world, and like we got a little bit of like Thanos is a sad father who like farms alone and like all just wants peace, but like here like we really get you're going to have people being like, wait, like, are you sure he's evil? Because remember on Loki, he was like kind of, fun. And I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people take to him.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see how they make, because clearly this is a variant version, right? So we're going to get like, obviously he's already taken over. I mean, that's why his statue is there. Yep. Front and center at the new TVA or whatever you want to call it. So I'm interested to see what else has changed at this point. Right. And I'm hoping the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer gives us maybe a little hint of that. Yeah. What feel like
I'm wondering is, so I know that like I cannot think too hard about how everything intersects, but like I find myself wondering when stuff like that. Like, obviously things change, and obviously, there's different timelines and now, but like, when are we kind of going to see that effect? Like are things going to be changed in Hawkeye? Like, for example, like, what about Ms. Marvel? What about She-Hulk? Like, when do we see the effect of everything kind of melding together? Or is it not until Doctor Strange, and all of a sudden Doctor Strange is going to be like, so this is what's been going on for the past, maybe like Doctor Strange fits, I don't know. I think Hawkeye's also supposed to be like 2 years into the future, like 2025. So I don't know, I'm thinking too hard, but like, it makes me wonder how everything is going to tie back into this.
Well, yeah, because that's interesting, because yesterday I was just thinking, because we've got, Shang-Chi and then the Eternals before any of this other multiverse stuff.
Right.
But when you think about the Eternals, the story is these guys have been watching Earth for billions of years and haven't decided to intersect until now.
Yeah.
Because why have they intercepted now? Because Sylvie's just opened up the multiverse. They've gone, holy shit, we need to get down there and do something about this. The Avengers can't handle this by themselves. So I feel like we're going to see ramifications very, very quickly. And I've seen a lot of complaints from people like, oh, the series didn't end properly. There's no wrap up. It's like no finality to it. There's no, there's a big cliffhanger. You can't end it. I feel like this is such a different form of storytelling that we've never seen before, in that they intertwining television with movies in such a important way. And I feel like Loki Season 2 doesn't need to pick up exactly where Season 1 ended. You can spin into 5 or 6 movies out of the back of Season 1, and then Season 2 spins out of the 6 movies down the line. And Loki there's already rumors that Loki's going to be in Doctor Strange. So you can continue these threads throughout a bunch of movies and then pick it up again in the series. So I don't feel like it's going to be that long until we get answers to the how this show's end. Because realistically, we're probably not going to get another Loki till 2023, maybe.
I'd say if that, right?
So I think we'll start seeing things happen very, very quickly. And again, a lot of people again complaining that there's no finality or anything. You just roll with it, because this is unprecedented. This has never been done before. Yeah, nothing like this has ever been done before. So just roll with it.
I remember. I don't think it was D23. I think maybe it was San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe, and when they unveiled like the whole slate, and Kevin Feige kept saying like the Disney Plus shows are going to very much intersect with the films going forward, and everyone was like, like they assume that would be like, you'd have to know like what was happening in Wanda's, story in order to understand Doctor Strange. But I mean, I didn't realize until, WandaVision kind of showed me, but like really like everything else is kind of, especially with Loki, it's like, oh, this is really tying in. Like if you don't watch the Disney Plus shows, you're kind of screwed.
You're stuck.
Yeah. You gotta watch it.
So I said earlier, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they didn't do a lot to further the narrative. Like you've got the small the things like, oh, you've got new Captain America, you've got the Scarlet Witch. I mean, you're setting up these little things that can easily then be set up in another movie.
Right. Yeah.
But something like Loki, you get to this final episode, you're like, hang on a minute, this is like, it's big. And again, I keep saying it's unprecedented, the way that this form of storytelling, television and movies intercepting like this. It's again, it's going to be something you're just going to have to just roll with. Trust them, 100%.
It's so crazy.
100%.
And then real quick, we haven't talked about Renslayer yet. How I liked her character. I don't know if you both know probably, but in the comics, she's like dating Kang. Her and Kang date. Yes. So I was kind of expecting her to get a bigger role in this one, and maybe that's coming down in Loki Season 2. But I did think it was interesting. She just disappeared in this one. I don't know. Do you guys have any speculation on where you think she went? I have no idea. I don't know. Dave, do you have any thoughts? No
idea. I'm not very familiar with the character, so I don't know. I'm happy to see what happens, where they take it. No theories or anything. It's just,
yeah. She just
there's
disappeared.
More there. There's more to it though. There's more to it.
There is.
They can't utilize someone who's such an incredible actress and so well known for just like a throwaway. Oh, she's gone now. She'll be back. Guaranteed.
I think my hope is that, she'll come back, obviously, because I think they'll hopefully bring, because the beauty of like resetting a timeline is that you can bring back the same people because things are just changed, but it doesn't mean someone like, you know, died or whatever, someone went off. But my hope is that because this season was clearly like focused on Loki and Mobius and Sylvie and all of that, that next season she's going to get a much bigger role, and maybe they'll kind of dive a little bit more into like, maybe they will dive more into her backstory, because I want to see more of her. I love her. I'm sad we didn't see more of her, but I kept telling myself like, well, maybe like she has a bigger part to play in season 2, because I've learned to be patient with these films and these shows that, you know, people who you think are going to have bigger roles, like maybe, you know, like, I mean, look at WandaVision. I mean, pretty much, you know, they introduced, you know, Photon, and they like do it, and everyone was like, well, like, you know, she did, like, Monica didn't get a big enough role, and it's like, well, this was like her introduction. I mean, like,
now she's going to be in the Marvels, right?
Just
so it's going to be the 3 of them, right? It's Captain Marvel, and Monica and Miss Marvel. I'm excited for that one too.
I too.
There's just so much. And then like Kevin said something I saw in an interview for Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I read like a synopsis thing on Twitter, which you never know if that's true or not, but about talking about how Catherine Hahn will be back, and it won't be. I know. Which is, she's so good. And you kind of figure that the way like they said goodbye, right? Like, see you later, alligator, or whatever. Like, it's like, man. And then that ties in Alligator Loki. Look at that. It's all connected. No. But I'm excited to see Catherine Hahn back, and I'm hoping Doctor Strange, maybe? I don't know. I don't want to wait.
It would make sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
feel like she's... So I would say Doctor Strange, but I feel like she's the type of villain who could kind of pop in like...
anything. I know. What do you think, Dave? You think Doctor Strange?
That would make sense, but you just don't know anymore. Like, who predicted Kang showing up in Loki? I mean, apart from all the rumors and stuff that circulated the last, I guess, month or so. But just these people just appear. Or like Abomination appearing in Shang-Chi.
Well,
like,
so is that like, this timeline? Is that the same
exactly
Abomination?
Right. Well, yeah, true. It's just, but now I feel like because we have so much of this, we're getting 3 or 4 movies a year, or 3 or 4 series a year as well. It's almost like constant. It's almost like you don't have to wait for the next thing. You're just getting all these little bit pieces of, you know, 10, 12 years ago, you got 1 movie a year or 2 movies a year. Or I feel like a lot of the complaints are coming from maybe a bit of a younger crowd as well. Maybe people who are like maybe 18, 19, 20. And when you think about it, they were kids when the franchise started. I mean, I think I was 19 when it started. So I've, you know, followed it, you know, as we all have from the beginning, bit by bit. But there's this whole generation of people who may have just binged like the first 15 movies.
Right.
You know, so it's this whole idea of the patience and understanding that something that happened in a film 12, 13 years ago can now be picked up in a movie 24 movies and 3 seasons down the line. So that's the thing with these, is that they can just pick up a thread or pick up a character or something from one of the past movies at any time. And I think it works most of the time. But I think that's just, it's like patience is the key to this franchise. It's like, just stick with it. And there's always a payoff. Even if it is like 20 movies down the line, there's always a payoff. When
it comes to Marvel, they know what they're doing, and Kevin knows
that's exactly right.
I mean, it's like we said before, we were talking about the week-to-week release, and it's like people forgot how to watch TV, like, and how to watch shows. Like, I used to have to deal with this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's a normal thing.
I'm feeling that with Loki as well now, because everyone has become so used to, even though there's only 3 series, people are so used to these Marvel series being essentially 6-hour telly movies.
Right.
Limited series, one and done. We're now got Loki, which has this open end, but that's like any other television show. This is a different thing, because this is now a TV series.
I feel so old, because like I I mean, I am old, but like I don't. But I used to be. I mean, I was a huge, still am Lost fan. I watched the show. I started watching the show when it first started airing when it was in my sophomore year of college, and like before like DVDs, because I'm old. Like before like DVRs, and before you could tape something, and like you had to, you know, all that. And I watched that show for 6 seasons, and I had to deal with like the, you know, every like
cliffhangers
the cliffhangers, and that was a show that was actually I think it might have been Joanna Robinson compared had a really good comparison of Loki, like the end of Loki to Lost, which was really interesting because she kind of compared, like, if you're familiar with the show, like she compared like the smoke monster.
That's what I said. As soon as I saw the smoke monster, I was like, it's Lost!
Which I didn't think of because my head was exploding. But I'm like, oh my God, it's but like, yeah, I was a huge, like, I remember like like I have a time hop, and sometimes stuff from like 6, 7, 8, whatever years ago or 10 years ago will come up, and it'll be like a tweet I made while I was sitting at a family dinner, be like, on Facebook, like, anyone who spoils Lost for me tonight is dead because I can't watch it. And like, like that used to be our life, and now I've gotten spoiled too. I'm like, oh right, I don't have to wait anymore. I can just watch the next one.
It used to be like, you want to watch this, you have to be in front of your TV at this time, or you're not gonna watch it.
First big show like that for me was Smallville, and I remember the first season. At the end of every episode, I would call my friend, get on the landline phone and call my friend. Oh my God, how good was that? Lex Luthor is going to turn out to be the bad guy in the next episode. Superman, Clark's going to become Superman in like the next episode. This is like in season 1. And then you wait 10 years for the payoff. And every season ends with a cliffhanger. You wait to the next week to watch it. And then they take like a massive break in the middle of the season for you know, Thanksgiving or something. And then it doesn't come back. And then it ends. And then you wait a year to go back to it. And then it's week by week by week. And there's a cliffhanger at the end of the season, and you have to wait a year to get the wrap up. And Marvel has so expertly come back to that classic television formula. Is why it's like, be patient, and you're gonna have to wait week by week, and you're going to get that last episode of a series which has a cliffhanger and leave you waiting a little bit longer. I love it. I think it's great, and these younger people are finally getting a taste of what it was like, and I think it still works. As I've been saying the whole time, look at the conversation you get every single week on Loki or WandaVision or Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You don't get that on something like Stranger Things. All goes out at once. People chatter for like 2 weeks and then it's dead. We've been talking about these shows for the best part of a year now. Which is the way they've segmented it. Think about it. It's not just like season, like show by show. Right. We've been talking about it for a year.
I know.
What If comes out in another month?
I know.
And we're going to still be talking about it. And the conversation, as we've seen here in this chat today, is not just Loki, it's everything else that's come before it. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how it's all tied together. Yeah. It's madness. They have I've never seen anything like this before. It's incredible.
Smart. It's brilliant on their part. Absolutely brilliant. And I love it as a fan because I feel like we get this conversation, and it's creating more fans, and then it's just so good. I love it. But let's wrap stuff up here. We've been going a little over an hour, but I want to know everybody's ranking of the 3 shows. You, Dave, go.
Oh, it's so tough. I'm like really torn. I think Loki is my favorite. And the only reason I say that is because I felt like WandaVision came to anti-climax at the end. And I mean, they had to change the script, and there were lots of things that they couldn't film and stuff because of COVID, and they shut down. They had to rework it. I feel like that really detrimented the show. So I feel like I'd put Loki maybe just a whisker above WandaVision, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, only because it just felt so familiar. It was just just a typical Marvel thing, whereas I really like these weird and wonderful things that are just doing something different and pushing that narrative forward. So I think Loki, just like a little hair, WandaVision, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I've loved them all so far. They've all been great. And
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, and I think things would have been different had that been the case. Because I think to go from WandaVision to Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like, wait, what's going on? Andrea, how do you rank them?
I'm going to be a little different just to throw you off.
She's like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, isn't it?
Well, as much as I love Bucky, no, I mean, I'm pretty much the same in that, you know, Loki and WandaVision right now are kind of like neck to neck for me in terms of shows. I think, you know, for me, WandaVision ranks a little bit higher just because emotionally I love that character a lot. I think overall, I don't know how to say this without like how to explain myself correctly, because I don't want to say I enjoyed it more because I really enjoyed Loki a lot. But I think like if I had to rank like kind of where I had like where my mind is, I would put WandaVision first. I mean, Loki second, just because like you were saying, Dave, like just like a hair below, like those two could really be like kind of neck to neck in favorite Disney Plus shows. Although, like you said, I mean, they're all great. And you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think it's funny. It's funny to me because Falcon and the Winter Soldier has the two characters that I really like love and was so excited for. Like I love Bucky and I love Sam, and I was so excited for their friendship. And I love Wanda too. Like, but I would never think that a Loki show would like you said, like, when Loki first came out, I'm so excited for WandaVision, so excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Cool, like a Loki show, I'll watch it. Like, and I would have never thought that would go kind of above that. But like you said, it was just so innovative and different, and it was really intriguing. And I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, I think, you know, I mean, I feel like you also can't really compare it. It's a totally different show. It has totally different tone. And I think you're right. If it had come out first, it would have been a kind of a really big difference. But it just felt kind of, a lot of the stuff just felt kind of boring to me. And, you know, compared to the other two, but I also feel bad putting any of them on the pedestal because this is why I don't have a favorites list. Because
I know, it's hard.
It's like choosing a favorite child.
It can be. I mean, maybe not as, but so for me, I got to go with Dave, and I go back and forth with Loki and WandaVision, and I had to really sit and think. And I don't know if it's because Loki is so fresh in my head right now, or if it's because I know how much it's affecting everything. But I loved the character development in Loki, and I felt like there wasn't any episode that I was like, meh about. Whereas WandaVision, there were some that, and like you said, the finale, you could tell it was reworked. You could tell. I mean, even though it had Ralph Boner, my favorite character in the MCU, I would have to say we gotta go. It's Loki, and it's like WandaVision, like just right there.
Yeah.
And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think part of my issue with Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the Flag Smashers, and I know their stuff had to get rewritten because of COVID. Because they were supposed to be like the government is creating a virus to make everybody sick and die, and then they were like, "Ew, we should rewrite the script a little bit." And I think that I don't think they recovered from that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I guess it was still good. I mean, we got a new Captain America. I love that. I loved Isaiah Bradley's storyline thing. And Bucky, you know, that shot of him in Wakanda when he's just crying because he's like no words, but just there's some fantastic moments. And I still love it because I don't think anything Marvel is bad.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's like, again, you said there's a reason why they segment their movies and series the way that they do. And that was supposed to be like our soft entry into the television stuff, is like, this is something that feels familiar, feels like very much like an organic sort of follow-up to Winter Soldier, the Captain America franchise, I suppose. And then you go to something like WandaVision, which is like crazy. And then you take a step back and it's like, it's almost like, you've gone back again. You just, and then you get, but the crazy thing is, like, Wanda and Vision are two of my favorite characters, both in the Marvel films and in the comics. I love them. I think they're incredible. And then for this Loki show to just like swoop in and be like, hang on a minute, this character I never really cared about is like neck and neck. Yeah. It's just, again, it's genius. It's genius.
It's all the incredible writing, directing, like it's just the story that we got,
but like,
I think. This
whole franchise is hinged on the first Iron Man movie.
It's true.
And how many people are like, an Iron Man movie? I never I didn't care about, I didn't even really care much about Marvel outside of X-Men, Spider-Man at the time. And I was like, Iron Man, I don't really care about this. But then everyone's like, oh, it's actually quite good. And you go and see it. And this whole franchise has just like spawned. The biggest franchise of all time has spawned off the back of an Iron Man film.
It's
and then
crazy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, just weird stuff that they've somehow just made work really well.
The Guardians, I know. It's like, I loved the Guardians in the comics. And I was so nervous when they were doing the movie because I was like, people are going to love it or hate it. Like some people are going to be like, why do you read this stuff? Like I was so worried, but I should have known James Gunn. Yeah. You guys know how I feel about
they
him
did it
now.
so well.
Like, he's brilliant. That's why I'm actually looking forward to the Suicide Squad. That's a whole nother story for another day, but I'm really, because I think James Gunn, I hated the first movie. Like I hated the first movie.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with it.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, and I only saw it a second time to be like, okay, was I wrong? And then I was like, no. It was so bad, right? I know. So to be excited for the Suicide Squad is like shocking to me. But anyway, that's a totally different franchise, and we can have that conversation maybe in a month after Suicide Squad comes up.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining me. This was so fun, and thank you for everyone in the chat. I mean, WandaVision stuff. I mean, man, I'm just so excited for where the future holds.
I am too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, is What If even going to be like tied in now to this multiverse? I mean, I feel like it must be.
Has to be. Like
yeah.
The way they've segmented it, it just like you're almost like you've opened this multiverse, all these different possibilities for things that can happen. I think there's a reason we've got it now.
Yeah,
right.
But I
think
like
it was actually if you think about like how smart it is that you just open the multiverse and then you're doing this what if thing, which conveniently is like, what if this happened? What if this universe happened? Like, I think it's going to be a really interesting. I think it's going to be a really interesting.
It's like, what if? Surprise! It did. Here it is.
because I've always just assumed, it's just a fun little non-canon sort of here's a what if thing.
Right.
Yeah, but now you kind of go, well, maybe it's just like maybe this is how they more get you into like another just way to introduce you to the idea of, well, there's all these parallel universes, and even if these things don't, whether some of the characters, I don't know, continue on into something else or whatever, who knows? But I think it's just a great way for them to be like, here's just your introduction to the idea that all these different versions of the characters can exist out there, and just make it maybe just a little bit easier by way of animation. Again, just such a simple, you're a child, just talk to your audience like they're a child and be like, here you go, this is watch some cartoons to explain it to you. I think
that's true. I mean, there's those rumors now that Captain Carter is going to be in,
I know.
Doctor Strange too.
So that's what I mean. You could have these characters, they go, it could feel like a non-canon thing, and then they might go, we'll pluck that and we'll put you in a live action film, or whatever other, like we've got Gamora who's like Thanos or something. Here we go, we've got her in live action or whatever else. I mean, endless possibilities. You just never know.
I'm excited. I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. All right, well, before we go, why don't you guys let everyone know where to find you again? Dave, you go first.
Yes, Dave Lee Down Under, YouTube, Twitter. Got my podcast as well. You can just go and check me out. I'm all across the board. Just look me up. I'll be there to entertain.
Yes.
I suppose. I don't know. It was going well.
That was so good, and then you just... No, I'm just kidding. Andrea, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at _A Towers, talking about Marvel stuff, superhero stuff, probably Black Widow for the foreseeable future because I have no chill. And you can find me on Instagram at _Andrea Towers, and around the internet, places like Nerdist, Entertainment Weekly, and a few more.
MamasGeeky.com.
And MamasGeeky.com.
And real quick, let me throw this up there. But yeah, all of the things are down below in the description, so you can find everybody very easily. And also, Andrea and I have something exciting coming up eventually. We're working on it.
Yeah, we're going to announce it. Hopefully it'll be announced like before, maybe in like the next month, hopefully.
Yeah, but that's our plan. We're working on something. We've got, I feel like we're getting there. We're getting closer. We're getting there. So we're excited to announce that to you guys, and it might include videos on this channel, maybe, perhaps. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that. But thank you, Andrea and Dave, for joining and for discussing all things Loki. And thank you, everyone out there in the chat. Bye, guys.